in 2017, we bought one of the Xiaomi robot vacuums to make our lives just that little bit easier, but we always thought it was missing the ability to mop. There were robot vacuums that could mop at the time, but from what we saw, the cleaning performance of them was just a little bit lackluster. Since then, there has been a little bit of innovation, so we thought that it might be time to see what had changed in terms of vacuuming and if the built-in mopping was actually any good. Roborock decided to send us one of their new S5 Maxes for review. The S5 Max is really focused on mopping, so it makes it the perfect candidate. As a bit of a caveat, Roborock did not pay us for a review. They did send the review unit over for us to do that, and that's exactly what we're going to do. If you're keen to see what the S5 Max comes with, we've already done a full unboxing, and you can check that out over in the top right-hand corner right now. You might think that this is just another robot vacuum, but there is actually some really clever tech that makes this a gadget collector's dream. It's not just about cleaning, it's about making cleaning simple, easy, and automated, especially for lazy people like me. As we've already said, we've just used a robot vacuum for the last few years, so we understand the convenience of having one. We're not vacuum experts, but we can share our thoughts from a consumer perspective because we've bought and used one for a very long time anyway. That said, let's get some of the tech specs out of the way so we can focus on the important stuff, if it's any good, and if you can drag race two of them. The S5 Max is designed from the ground up to be a competent mop and vacuum solution. From empty, the battery should take about 3.5 hours to fully charge. The S5 Max can also intelligently recharge, meaning if you have a large area in your house and the unit runs low on power, it can then calculate how much power it will require to get back to the dock in charge. It will then automatically resume when it has enough power to finish the job. It will then return to the dock and fully charge, ready for its next job. The mop tank has a capacity of 290 ml and is easily fillable with the fill port on the tank itself. The tank removes very easily and the mop will detect when the mop is attached. You can also control the output pressure of the water as well. You can also choose the required water level according to the different floor materials. This is handy if your house has a combination of something like tiles and floorboards. On the underside of the unit there is a 5-star rubber brush which has been changed from a 3-star bristle brush from the older S5 and the Xiaomi vacuums. This is also a pretty interesting point that we will come back to. There is a 360-degree wheel that it uses to steer itself, some bottom and side sensors so it can detect if it's going to fall downstairs. It also has the brushes underneath that are used to vacuum, and these can be very easily cleaned and removed. The top of the unit has a 360-degree LiDAR laser distance scanner so that the mop doesn't just guess, it can actually see what's in the room with it. This allows it to use obstacle avoidance once it has successfully mapped sections of your house. There's a power button as well as a return to home button for convenience. There's a little flap that can be lifted to remove and easily empty the vacuum tank, which has a capacity of 460 ml, and a little brush for easy cleaning. I would recommend removing the vacuum tank after every clean. The vacuum filter attached to the tank is also washable. The vacuum uses infrared to dock and find its place, as well as mapping its surroundings to know what to avoid when returning to the dock. It also has a bumper that can detect objects in its path so that it can get back on task. I mentioned before that there's more to the Xiaomi story with the S5 Max, so we're just going to take a quick look at what differences there are that I've noticed personally between the two. So this one's our old Xiaomi RoboVac and this is the S5 Max. On the Xiaomi RoboVac, you can see that it's got the little brush the same way that the S5 Max has it, but this one actually has the little bristles and this one has the rubber brush. I feel like personally for us, the rubber brush does a better job at picking up and throwing all of the little pieces into the vacuum part. The sensors on each unit are very, very similar. I'd say they're pretty much the same thing. Even the little rolly wheel that directs each unit, pretty much the same. The wheels are pretty much the same. The enclosures for the vacuum where the bristle brush is, I'm pretty sure they're exactly the same and you could most likely switch them over, which I will give a try. You need to excuse the amount of hair in this one because we've used this for quite a while. But I'm sure, yeah, they pop straight in. They switch very easily. Oh, wait, no. There you go, they both switch. So that part's literally exactly the same parts. I'm going to assume they are both Xiaomi branded. And the funny thing I noticed when I was reading the manual for the S5 Max was that they do actually recommend you can use either the Roborock app directly for it, or you can use the Xiaomi Home app, which I think is pretty good because if you have other Xiaomi products, you have access to all of them in the same app. Personally, I don't think that it's a bad thing that these two are very similar and share similar parts, because they both do what they're supposed to do. And when it comes time to replace the parts, it's probably going to make it a lot easier for you to find those parts. Anyway, speaking of the app, let's check it out. Let's take a little bit of a look at the app. It can be downloaded from either Google Play or the Apple App Store. In this video, we're showing the iOS version of the software, but it will be basically the same on Android as well. I recommend letting the S5 Max map your house first so that you can set up the no-go zones. Basically, this means you can set your rooms and areas up to not mop or vacuum, like if you had physical partitions in your house. This is a pretty great feature, especially if you have different surfaces in your house. It also allows the unit to know where it's been and that it shouldn't go back over itself unless it's going back to the dock. We've already had a look at the zones, so if we have a look at room cleaning, you can actually decide which rooms you'd like to clean or not clean by simply just clicking on each room. It's automatically decided which one is a room, as it's super intelligent. Going to map settings, you have options to edit rooms, set no-go zones, and edit the map. If you want to edit the map, you've got an option to edit the current map or go back to a backup map that you've previously had. These map settings here are pretty self-explanatory, so I don't need to go into that too much. Going to the other settings menu at the top right-hand corner, you've got options for vacuum settings with options like setting the robot name, having a saved map, the indicator light, carpet mode so it can detect automatically if it's on carpet or not and adjust the suction levels for that, robot time zone, that's obvious, do not disturb mode, so obviously that you don't get disturbed by the robot. Other options, you have the timer so you can set a schedule, voice and volume where you can choose the language that your robot speaks in and also the volume. Pin and go is an option where you can drop a pin for the robot to go to and then automatically start from there, which is good for quick spot cleanups. The remote control section is for those that might enjoy beer pong or drag racing their robots. You also have options like updating the firmware, the cleaning history where you can see a history of where your robot has cleaned, what it has done and how long it's done it for. The maintenance panel is handy to see when you need to replace the filters, the brushes, and generally just keep your robot in great condition. As we mentioned in the unboxing, Roborock is running a bit of a promo to launch this in Australia. Again, this is not sponsored and they didn't pay us a cent. They mentioned it to us and we thought that if you wanted to get your hands on it, it'd make it a little bit cheaper. We'll put that info in the description. But basically from today until the 17th of May 2020, you can get $100 Australian off the $1,000 price and some other goodies as well. All that info will be in the description. But let's get back on topic. To be honest, the difference between the Roborock S5 Max and a robot vacuum that doesn't mop isn't that much, but the added mopping functionality of this makes it far more attractive. Sure, it costs more, but the truth is that you're getting something that can mop and can vacuum without you even having to lift a finger. The mopping functionality based on other reviews we've seen of the S5 Max is better than the S5. However, a traditional mop will always be better. But don't get me wrong, the mopping functionality is great, it's super convenient, and it means that you don't have to do it manually. I'd be really keen to see how these mops actually continue to evolve over time. And as for vacuuming, it is a better way than our old Xiaomi unit. It's a lot better, and that's the main bite.
Claire, don't you have a story for us about vacuums and why you have such a fascination with them?
I don't have a fascination with vacuums. When I was like 8 years old, I think, my mum G'd me up for about 6 months, I think, telling me that I was going to get a vacuum for my birthday. Me being an 8-year-old kid thought that I was actually getting a vacuum for my birthday. Birthday rolls around. What do you know? All my presents. There's a big box. I open it and it's a vacuum box. But she actually put my presents inside the vacuum box. So she tricked me ultimately, and I was not happy. And
is that why you love vacuuming so much now?
Yeah, I love vacuuming. I think it's kind of funny that I did 2 vacuum videos considering how much I hate vacuuming and mopping.
Yeah, but this vacuum's different because you don't actually have to.
It's different because I don't have to do anything. And I'm actually not that lazy. I just enjoy having things do things for me so I can do more of what I like doing, like Animal Crossing. But yeah, cool story, Claire. That's the end.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. You're sitting there going. That was so awkward.